often, which is what I advise, except you don't like it. Then I will advise that it is soaked adequately. That is, you have to soak it about 8 hours or overnight. Why? That reduces something in it called phytate. It reduces the content of the phytate it has. Other than that, if you have it just like that, or cook it just like that, it will have significant amount of the phytate. And that will be inhibiting absorption of iron, zinc, and calcium, which will eventually give you issues associated with these nutrient deficiencies. So please, that's the caution I'll give on beans. Now that I'm encouraging all of us to have it routinely. I will also advise that we soak it regularly. We soak it regularly. And then if we even soak it, it reduces the extent with which we can get bloating with. Yeah, when we soak it, there is something in it which causes the bloating. It leaches into the fluid, which you throw away. So apart from that, it saves us of cost, of gas, those stuff. So that is something I will advise for routine use, except you don't like, except you don't tolerate. Some people do not tolerate it at all. For that one, don't go there. For that one, don't try it. And then another thing that I want to talk of is trans fat. It's one of the fats. Trans fat can be found or can be generated in our kitchens, like the oils that I have recommended: sunflower oil, olive oil, canola oil, soya bean oil. We can generate it in our kitchens, the trans fatty acids. And these are poisons. We can generate it, or the trans fatty acids, by overly heating it. When we are preparing stew, let's lower the flame. Ejano, let's lower it. Other than that, it will turn something in the oil into the trans fatty acids. And then also when we are frying, let's cut the food into smaller pieces so that it can get done or cooked at a faster rate. When we cut it into larger pieces, be it fish or yam or whatever, potatoes, that will mean that it will be on the fire for long. The oil will be on the fire for long, and that can lead to formation of that poison. And it's a matter of concern because trans fatty acids predispose us to heart disease. It predisposes us to diabetes. It predisposes us to stroke. This is because when it gets high in the blood, they are able to coagulate the blood. And when such a clot gets stuck in any of the vessels in our brain, it can lead to stroke. It can lead to stroke. So let's take note of that. Not only can it be generated in our kitchens, there are some foods, like the solid margarine. Most of the margarines on our market has good or significant amount of the trans fatty acids. Margarine, I don't eat margarine, but then there are certain foods which are also prepared with margarine. So we have to, with such foods, let's not make their intake regular. With such foods, let's not make their intake regular. I hope you know them. So let's not make their intake regular. For example, if you are somebody who is a fan of tea, and then will always compel you to choose that food with it, the bread with it. In fact, most of the commercially baked breads have the margarine. Yes. This is what I usually advise. or give. Choose healthier biscuits like Nutri-Snacks, like London digestive biscuits, like real brown crackers. These are healthier because they are not made with margarine. They are healthier because they have some amount of fiber. And then have it with your tea, so that that bread or pie becomes occasional. I'm not saying you don't have it. You can even bake some yourself, or unhealthy oil. But then if you are not able to do so, you ask, and when you have an edge for it, you can have it. You can have it. And that cannot give you any issue if that's not done routinely. So let's take note of that. And then, Nutri-Snacks. And then let me go to our fruits and vegetables. Our fruits and vegetables, they protect us from several diseases. So, and the recommendation, we are advised to have 2 to 4 servings a day. What does a serving mean? An orange is a serving of fruit. An apple is a serving of fruit. So when you have an apple and then an orange a day, you have met the requirement. That's 2 servings. Not bad. If pineapple of a size like this, is a serving. Watermelon of a size like this is a serving. Pastor. It's a serving. Yeah. So, like this. Let me take, like here, pineapple of this size. Here. It's a serving. Likewise, watermelon of this size is a serving. 1 banana. Thank you. 1 banana is a serving. In fact, 1 small banana. It's a serving. And then what fruit? So that's what a serving means. If you have 2 to 4 servings a day, then it means you have been able to go by the standard dietary guideline with regards to fruits. But then that's also not to say that you cannot have fruits regularly having refined carbohydrates. You have grains, and then like corn dough, millet dough, and then you sieve it. That can predispose us to. And then the white bread, the sugary drinks, they are all refined foods which make the fat cells and the muscle cells insulin resistant and eventually lead us into that issue. And then also some nutrient deficiencies. There are some nutrients which, when they get low in us, they predispose us to the type 2 diabetes. An example is magnesium. Magnesium are found in the chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, fruits, vegetables. They are dominant in them. When this nutrient gets low in us, it can make one get or become predisposed to the type 2 diabetes. And another micronutrient, which when it gets low can predispose one to the type 2 diabetes, vitamin D. The vitamin D. Almost, it's an epidemic. Vitamin D deficiency is an epidemic. They have declared it as an epidemic, like the COVID. Yeah. Especially some of us who are always under shelter. Almost all of us are low in the vitamin D. And this is a nutrient which, when it gets low, predisposes us to the type 2 diabetes. Yeah. So when some of us want to help with someone with type 2 diabetes, these are all some of the things that we look at. And then poor sleep. or prolonged sleep deprivation. You're not having your 7 to 9 hours sleep, in the day. In fact, especially at the night. Night hours, that's the most important. Don't say, oh, I sleep very well in the afternoon, and then when it comes to the night, I'm not able to sleep. That's not what, the nature wants. When we deprive ourselves of sleep regularly, it makes the body produce several poisonous substances. And these poisonous substances can create the insulin resistance and then predispose us to type 2 diabetes. There are several of them. And then inactivity. When we become inactive, when we don't exercise, when we don't walk, it makes the cells insulin resistant. And when there is insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes comes about. And then excess body fatness or obesity. When there is excess body fatness, the body produces several poisonous substances. And these poisonous substances, make the cells insulin resistant. So I have been mentioning insulin resistant. That's how come type 2 diabetes come. So I hope you have, okay. Was there another question?
A follow-up question. What are the symptoms of lack of vitamin D?
Okay. Thank you, Pastor. Muscle weakness. You feel weak. That's one of the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. And then you'll be having pain in the bone. Some of the people who are deficient in the vitamin D, they will be having pain in the bone. Why? Because vitamin D helps absorption of calcium. It helps absorption of calcium from the intestine. So when one gets deficient in vitamin D, there is usually low blood levels of calcium. And the bone requires good amount of calcium to be strong. So when you become deficient in vitamin D, calcium gets low, and the calcium in your bone come out into your blood. The blood needs some calcium. So the blood is able to detect that you are low in calcium. So the bone, which is rich in calcium, the calcium in the bone starts coming out from the bone into your blood. And that's where you will start having bone loss and its associated bone pain. And then when one is deficient in vitamin D, there may be, for the men, there may be issue with the erection. Yeah, there may be issue with the erection. Why? Vitamin D helps in the production of hormones, sex hormones, particularly androgens, the male hormones. That helps us to erect. And when one becomes deficient in it, it can get the person such a problem. And for the females, one of the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency in you is difficulty conceiving. Why? This is it's a hormone. It's a vitamin, but it is also termed or classified as a hormone. And this vitamin or hormone is involved in the process of estrogen and progesterone production. So when it is low in someone, there will be poor production of these two vital or fertility hormones. And we need progesterone. The females need progesterone for fertility in several ways. And then also miscarriages. The females need good amount of estrogen so that your endometrium, so that you can have thick endometrium. If you don't have thick endometrium, there may be conception or you may get pregnant, and then the fertilized egg will find it difficult implanting against the endometrium. Likewise, progesterone. When you don't have adequate amount of progesterone in you, it will be difficult for a fertilized egg to implant against the endometrium, because the progesterone makes the endometrium receptive. The progesterone makes the endometrium receptive. So one of the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency in females is are miscarriages and difficulty conceiving or subfertility. This is because this vitamin, as I have said already, is involved. The body needs it so that your ovaries, particularly granulosa cells in the ovaries, to be capable of producing these two important hormones. So these are some. There are others, but I think time will not allow us. The vitamin D. First, I will, in my case, if the person is my client, I'll plan a meal that provides good amount of vitamin D. But then, when there is deficiency, that diet alone cannot correct it. It's very difficult to replete the system with vitamin D. So if there is deficiency, that diet, in spite of being a vitamin D rich, can still not replete the system with it. So supplementation comes in. Vitamin D supplementation comes in. Yeah. So that's one thing that some of us do with the vitamin D deficiency. Thank you.
Yeah, next question. But before then, please don't hear that he's saying vitamin D into Ohana, your bones. Don't say I'm got vitamin D, please.
Yeah.
It's drug abuse. Don't just be there and say that he heard him say, if I can't sleep, vitamin. No. Please. That's why I was talking. I said that follow so that you can show up. You need to follow. Don't just get up and say metotramol. Don't just get up and say my taste vitamin D, vitamin D, please.
Yes, thank you, Pastor. Let me add this. With the vitamin D that I'm talking of, if someone is low in it, what we usually do is to recommend another vitamin with it, so that as the vitamin D is getting high in the blood, it will also not be causing some harm. Yeah. So whilst we are repleting the system with it, we also do some stuff so that it doesn't harm the person. Thank you.
I have more questions, but somebody asked a question about smoked vegetables. I don't know whether it's good or bad. Smoked vegetables.
Okay, thank you. That is safer than smoked animal foods. In fact, with the smoked animal foods are a problem because of not only the smoke, but because of generation of several poisonous substances in the animal food when exposed to that high flame. But with vegetables, they don't have that thing they don't have that thing contained in the vegetables that lead to formation of those poisonous substances. So it's safer. It's safer. If you want to have that flavor, you can grill some vegetables with a charcoal which is well prepared, which will not give too much smoke, and then enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please, if you want to get by the microphone, there are microphones by you left, right, so that we can do it very fast. There are microphones by you, so that if you get there, you can.
Thank you very much, Doc. We have a few questions that have been sent, and I want to read it. We have a few questions. We want to read it out. Okay. So the first one is it okay to take fruits blended as in smoothie? I'm asking because there are some fruits I can't eat, but I can take them as smoothie. Example, watermelon, cucumber, and co.
Yeah, it is always better to have fruits in their whole forms. This is because when we blenderize it, it has the tendency or potential of increasing our blood sugar levels. That's one thing with it. But then, if that's how you can enjoy fruits, it's better than none. It's better than going for the fizzy drinks or the sugary drinks. I hope, yeah. Okay.
Next question. Is it advisable to take apple, banana, pineapple, etc. at night?
At night. When you are hungry or after having your heavy meal?
After maybe your fufu and, you know.
Okay. When you are hungry, when you think you cannot sleep, you can have maybe 2 bananas with some granite, or an apple, or maybe an apple and an orange, and then have it. But when you, after supper, heavy supper, and then you, at the night, you take so much fruit, that can make your sugar levels go high. That can make your sugar levels go high, which can eventually lead to type 2 diabetes. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. Should we avoid the Adan salt completely?
Adan salt. Yeah, I have talked about it already, but then I would advise that we avoid it. In fact, why? It's because of the iodine. The iodine. The iodine is so important for our thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is able to make the thyroid hormones, the T4 and the T3, when there is adequate intake or supply of iodine. Other than that, the thyroid gland cannot function well to give us good amount of the thyroid hormones. And getting iodine is difficult. Getting iodine to meet our requirement, that is the 150 micrograms per day. And in the case of the pregnant women, 250 micrograms per day. And in the case of women who are breastfeeding, 290 micrograms per day. Getting it's very, very difficult. We battle, when we are planning a meal, we battle to be able to provide a meal that can provide that amount. So it's always advisable to choose something that is good in the iodine, so that we don't get deficient in the iodine. When we get deficient in iodine, or when we choose, we focus on the Adan salt, which doesn't have the iodine, and then we get deficient. Like I've said already, it predisposes us to heart disease. It predisposes us to infertility. It predisposes us to miscarriages. This is because the thyroid hormones are needed for sustenance of pregnancy. The thyroid hormones in good amount are needed for fertility. The thyroid hormones are needed. The thyroid hormones are needed in good amount to help our kidneys function well. So if somebody has a kidney issue and then comes to me, and then I assess the person and then find out that the person's thyroid gland is not functioning well, then I can assure the person that there will be improvement in your kidney function with time, whilst on my plan. Because I've gotten one of the things I can improve, that is the thyroid function, to help your kidneys function well. So, and these thyroid hormones, like what the science is reporting, affects essentially every cell in the body, the thyroid hormones. So let's focus on the iodized one. And then when we have iodized salt, let's not leave it just like that. When we leave it, or if we don't close the bottle, the iodine will sublime, will go. So let's always seal a container which has the iodine. And In the case of children, they need the iodine for their thyroid gland to function optimally, for brain, for their, good IQ, which we all want our children to have. So let's take note of that. And in pregnancy, aside miscarriages, when a pregnant woman becomes deficient in iodine, and for that matter, the thyroid gland becomes suboptimally functioning, it can make the child have or become deaf. Some cases of cerebral palsy originate from thyroid hormone deficiency. Usually because of the woman didn't have good amount of iodine during the pregnancy. Yeah, so let's focus on that. Except there is a condition called Graves' disease. In the case of Graves' disease, the thyroid gland will be producing too much of the hormones that we need in good amount too. Yeah. In some disease, in the Graves' disease, the thyroid gland functions too much. But like I've said, that condition is rare. It's uncommon. It's uncommon. So if your doctor sees that, you have that Graves' disease, then it is advisable not to have that type of salt. But I'm repeating, that condition is rare. It's rare. So let's focus on iodized salt. There are some foods that have iodine, but they are not. Those foods are not rich in the iodine. We can't depend on them. Like milk. How much milk do we take? You don't take it. Fish, seafoods. They are in there, but then not in significant amount to help us meet our iodine requirement, especially the pregnant women and then breastfeeding women. Thank you.
You asked much, so let me come here. If there's time, I'll come back to you. Yeah. If you want to ask questions, please join the line so we can do it very fast for him. Okay, join the line, and one question. Yeah, join the line, yeah. Share the link.
Thank you, sir. I want to just make a contribution with respect to the GIs. Okay, I know we are supposed to take in fruits and vegetables, but overripe fruits also increase our GI, causing issues with blood sugar management. So I wanted to make a contribution on that aspect as well. And I also know that smoked foods also increase our GI. But somebody asked a question concerning smoked vegetables. And I want you to expatiate more on that for us. Because I know smoked foods normally increases GIs and goes a long way to affect our blood values. I'm saying that I know smoked foods normally increases our GIs, the glycemic index. Yeah, so I want you to expatiate more on that smoked vegetable. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. The smoked food, animal foods, we can link it to increasing our sugar levels. Yeah, because of the inflammation it creates in us. Those foods are highly inflammatory. If I say they are highly inflammatory, what I mean is they create fire in us. That's how come it increases our risk of cancer. It creates fire in us. In fact, cancer originates from site of inflammation. And when it creates the fire in us, it makes the cells, the fat cells and the muscle cells, insulin resistant. So that's how come I think you are not wrong. Yeah. And like I said, smoked or grilled vegetables, they don't have certain things which animal foods contain to generate large amount of those poisonous substances. Yeah, that's how come I say, that's why it is safer in there. But then it's not something that we have. The grilled vegetable, it's not something that we have to always be having, because at least it has, or it gets some of the poison from the smoke also. But then it is safer than the smoked animal foods. And then you asked something about fruit.
Yeah, I was saying that I'm just passing a contribution that even as we are supposed to take fruits and stuff, we should watch what we are taking. Because overripe fruit increases the GI. So it shouldn't be overripe. When we are frying, it shouldn't be overfried, overcooking. All those things increase the GI and affect the blood sugar management.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you, sir, for your lecture. I'm really enjoying it.
School of Hygiene.
Yeah, School of Hygiene. So my question here is like 3 or 4 or 5.
You know what? You book and go and see him in his office and he will charge you small so that you answer you one here, the rest go for consultation. And then I'm sure, please, he has a book. Maybe you talk about it because we will leave some at the bookshop. People go for it because we will need it. Some of the answers are here. Mm-hmm.
So
One. If you are thinking, let me go here because it's only one.
My question is that most of the times we do eat foods cooked with fire, not the gas. So what I'm asking is that are you saying that we should not take the cooked foods such as the foods that we cooked with smoked, yes, like wache, banku, some of all these things like the roasted fish. So it's not the fish or the meat alone we can take that. Is it the fish alone that has those the diseases that you're talking about, or foods generally cooked with fire?
I think you are not understanding where it's coming from. You are not understanding. So what he's saying is, let me try and see if I can explain. What he's saying is that food is good, but when you put it on the fire, it's exposed to smoke and a lot of toxins. So don't overcook your food. But so if you put the food even in a normal fire, it's normally going to be overcooked. Do you understand?
Pastor, let me add this.
Okay.
I mean open flame. Open flame. Like coal pot. Then we put meat on it. That's the issue. Not if the fish or the meat or whatever is in the bowl or is in the pan, and then we are cooking from the no.
Direct fire.
Do you get it? When the animal food is on an open flame.
But you say kebab.
Like kebab.
Kebab.
Like kebab.
Samaba.
Like sausages,
Tilapia.
They are on open flame. The heat, the temperature of that heat is very high. And that makes those poisonous substances fall. Do you get it? So when you are cooking your rice in a bowl, that's not an issue. When you are cooking your yam in a bowl, that's not an issue. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, you spoke about beans, and you said it will be appropriate if we soak it overnight before we cook. But I want to make an appeal. If it will be possible that your outfit will break down some of these jargons, scientific jargons, so that since we can't avoid the gobe and the wache, because most of us are workers and we go to this wache joint, so that when we are educating the wache sellers, we can educate them in our local language, because when you begin to speak these scientific jargons, they will drive you away. And since we can't avoid them.
Okay, thank you. Just tell them, there is something in the beans. Would the men mention fight it? Don't mention fight it. There is something in the beans. If we don't soak it adequately, that thing will be left in the beans. And when we take it regularly, it can make us have low blood levels of calcium. It can make us have low blood levels of zinc. It can make us have low blood levels of iron. I hope that's clear. Don't mention the phytate. And when the calcium gets low in us, you can add that to the bean cellar. When calcium goes down in us, it predisposes us to hypertension. When calcium goes low in us, it predisposes us to bone disease or osteoporosis, where the bones can become brittle. Just say those stuff. They will understand.
There is coming all that, so please, can you give me
Thank you. Please, the first question again.
Watermelon and its seeds.
Thank
We
you.
chew it together. You say it's good, which I know Brazilian nuts are good.
Yes,
And
please.
Watermelon seeds chewing together, is it good?
Yeah, thank you. If only you do tolerate it. Some people do not tolerate it. I think some people are allergic to the seeds of watermelon. Yeah. But if you want to try it, you can start with 2 seeds and see if you will not react badly to it. But then it has zinc. It has a nutrient called zinc, which is so important to the body. So if you are somebody who doesn't react to it, then chewing with it is very, very important, or is very advisable. Yeah. And then the bowl. Obviously, we don't have to scratch the bowl. We will.
Jollof shishi, white shishi, kanzo.
And then, burnt foods. It's not advisable. It's a burnt thing. It's a burnt thing. It's a burnt thing. It's not advisable.
What of once a while? Once a while.
Once in a while, no problem.
Okay.
And then, please, let me add this. With the aluminium bowl, one thing with the use of aluminium bowls is that when we cook in the aluminium bowl, when we cook tomatoes, tomato stew or tomato gravy, tomato soup, what happens is it makes significant amount of aluminium get out of that bowl into the food. So that's something that we should take note of. We can be using, aside that, if it's not tomatoes, no issue. That thing doesn't happen. It is tomatoes which, makes that thing happen. Because of the acidic component or composition of it. Yeah. So if you want to be more careful and we are cooking tomatoes or doing tomato gravy, we can use other bowls like stainless bowl, those things. That would be more advisable.
Before you can let me, what about microwaving? This modern day microwave this, microwave that, and the kind of bowls being used for microwave, putting plastics on the microwave, styrofoam, brofu piece, and so many things. Please, what do you say about it?
Thank you, Pastor. Microwaving is not wrong. It's not bad. One will ask why the chemical or the substance it releases is non-ionizing. We will say non-ionizing. So that doesn't make it cancer causing. It is the ionizing radiation from X-rays, those CT scans, those ones are ionizing. That's what increases our risk when we have it regularly. But then the microwaves thing is non-ionizing. It vibrates fluid in the food you have put in it. And then a generation of heat comes. or it generates heat. Then it cooks our food for us. And then the caution here, like Pastor was saying, is not to microwave in a plastic or in rubber. For that, if you do that, certain poisonous substances in the rubber, because something bisphenol A and phthalate, they are not helpful. They predispose us to type 2 diabetes. In the world of fertility, it disturbs them through several mechanisms. So let's not microwave in rubber or plastics. Likewise, should we not eat hot foods in plastics and in rubber? Yeah, it's immediately we put.
Say that place again. Hot food. People buy food in rubber, and hot food in rubber, soup in rubber, yes. Cocoa in rubber, yes. And we are praying for them.
Yes, please. That is not advice. There is a strong science behind it. It's not trivial. It's not trivial. This is how it works. The bisphenol A containing the plastics and the rubber, when they get high in the blood, they are able to inactivate our sex hormones. Estrogen, progesterone, androgen, these are things we need for reproduction or fertility. And they have been found to have the potential of inactivating them. So you may have good amount of estrogen. You better test it. You will test and your estrogen levels are fine. Your progesterone levels are fine. Your androgen levels are fine. Even your thyroid hormones are fine. They are good levels, but then they are not working. Sometimes because of high ingestion of these chemicals. So and any of these hormones, when they get inactivated, it can give us several issues. And again, these chemicals are able to a typical example. In fact, it's one of the reasons why type 2 diabetes have become so common. Because we are fond of eating it, having it. We are fond of having this lifestyle. The science behind it is not trivial. There is a good science, a strong science behind it. So let's take note of it. It can make one develop type 2 diabetes by causing insulin resistance. In fact, it's able to inactivate our insulin. The insulin that picks glucose into our fat cells and muscle cells so that our blood levels of glucose don't become high. The chemicals in it are able to inactivate the insulin. So, please, let's take note of that. It's very, very, very important. It can make you have premature menopause. Yes.
Premature
menopause.
Hey.
Oh, premature.
Eating this kind of thing. Premature menopause. Okay.
Yeah. You haven't gotten to 40 years and you are not menstruating anymore. That has implications. How does it do that? The chemicals inactivate your hormones, your sex hormones, particularly the estrogen, that helps you to menstruate. Yes. So it's not trivial. The science behind it is very strong. It's very strong.
Okay. Last two questions. Maybe I'll consider you dependent. Yes. The women are not asking questions. Okay. It's Munamatako Hospital.
Okay, so say
yeah, ask your question.
Okay, so please, I want to find out, since you said the white bread is not that good. Is it okay if you put your kose in it and then you do it? And then also my second question, is it good to eat whole wheat, like wheat has not been cooked? Heat it, like you eat it,
That
like
hasn't been cooked.
that hasn't, but it's been milled in a way, like you eat. Because sometimes, let me use myself for example. You are working and then you are tired from where you are working to where you go and take your lunch or something. The time, so you need to finish the work. So once they are milling the wheat, just fetch something. Then is it okay? If it's okay,
Cold food.
no, wheat,
Wheat. Cold one.
whole wheat, whole.
Whole. Oh, sure.
Wheat that it hasn't been cooked.
Oh,
You
no,
are eating
no,
raw.
please. For that one, there will be poor digestion. Food gets better digested when it is cooked, you know, especially those starchy foods. And then also, the phytate, which I said is dominant in the poorly or unsoaked beans or poorly soaked beans. It is found, some are found in the wheat. And they get lower when it's cooked. So if you are fond of having that wheat uncooked, what it means that you will be inhibiting, or it will be inhibiting absorption of iron, zinc, and calcium. And that can render you deficient in these nutrients eventually. Yeah. And then the bread, you know,
This bread. Please, I want to ask a question. How many of you eat bread here? Let me show you some. Asamaba. We buy. How many of you buy bread? Hey. The African delicacy, the best one for Africa. Please, let's hear.
Okay, thank you. When we put kose in bread, it doesn't change the amount of trans fat in the bread. In fact, if that kose isn't prepared by you at home, that adds to the poison. Yeah, this is a food which is, cooked with overly heated or repeatedly fried oil and have developed the trans fatty acids I was talking about. In fact, not only trans fatty acids, some poisonous substances called toxic aldehydes. They are very toxic. So you find yourself compounding the issue when you add it. You add kose to your bread. But let me say this again. I'm not telling you not to eat the bread, but then the frequency is too much with us. That can harm us because of the trans fat contained in it. So let's be replacing it with healthier biscuits. If we are fans of tea, let's replace it with healthier biscuits like the Nutri Snacks, like Rare Brown crackers, like London Digestive biscuits. Thank you. So that on occasions we enjoy our bread. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So athletes, it's recommended for athletes to take.
Speak louder, please.
It's recommended for athletes to take in high quantity of sugar for athletic performance. High athletic performance.
High intake of.
High athletic performance.
He's a footballer. So he's saying that as a footballer, athletes are expected to take in a lot of sugary.
Yeah. To boost their
energy levels.
Yeah, their energy levels. So I want to ask, like, in general, I know that sugar is also harmful, can be harmful. So I want to ask if after taking in that amount of sugar for the high athletic performance, will it have any side effect on you?
When it comes to sports, I'm not there. So you have my number. I have a colleague who is there to help you, okay, with your question.
So
That's good, doctor. I'm a good answer. Yeah. Now, somebody said blood group O, granite is not. It's advisable that blood group O should not avoid eating granite. So please, can they take granite oil?
Okay. There is nothing like blood group and the type of food to eat. There is nothing like that. There is no science to that. There is no science to that.
Hey, look at the way they are happy.
There is no science to that. Yes. There will be genetic issues. And they think, some people are thinking that the blood group is our gene. No, we have certain genetic issues. Some people have certain genetic issues. For that, there are particular type of diet we provide. That's different from the blood group thing. So if you don't react wrongly to granules, you can have it.
So if you react,
then stay away. Immediately you find that you do react, it means your body doesn't like, and that your body is producing some poisonous substances that can harm you, that can lead to certain diseases. So when you react to something, don't go there. Otherwise, it will end up in diabetes and other non-communicable diseases. When you react, it means your body is producing inflammatory cytokines. And these inflammatory cytokines is the root of almost all, or are the root of almost all chronic diseases. Thank you.
Yeah, the lady, one chance, because I need to end. It's one.
So thank you very much. I would like to know if it is advisable to blend fruits and vegetables together. So let's say, for example, you want to blend carrots with apple and, let's say, orange. Is it advisable?
Sure. That makes it even better. You know, it makes it better. It doesn't significantly increase your sugar level upon intake of such a food. Yeah, because the vegetables are good in fiber, so when added to the fruit, like I've said, it won't significantly increase your sugar levels. Thank you.
Yeah.
Some of us, chocolate is our delicacy. We eat a lot of it. Does it have any effect on us?
Chocolate, okay. Please, which of the chocolates, dark or the ordinary?
The ordinary one, King's Bite. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If you are eating healthily, if you are somebody who eats healthily, having 3 cubes with the meal, or
only 3.
We eat 2 bars.
Oh, 2 bars.
Yes.
How often?
Oh, just in a split. We break the bar.
You are talking about some of us here.
We just break the bar, back. We eat about 2 bars within a split second.
Please, thank you. If this is something not regular, that will not pose a danger. Yeah, if it's sugary, the chocolate, that ordinary chocolate is sugary. That's the concern. So if it's regular, then it's an issue that can predispose one to heart disease, high blood levels of cholesterol, diabetes. But then if it's not regular, I think it's not an issue. It's not an issue.
Okay, let me take this one, then I come to another.
Thank you, sir. Within the current generation, Indomie has become prevalent.
Hey.
I want to ask, is it advisable to eat indomie, especially late in the night and in the park? Thank you.
Thank you. It's not advisable. Why? The reason is that it is one of the refined carbohydrates. That is one of the foods which, upon intake, significantly increases our sugar levels, which can eventually lead us to heart disease, high blood levels of cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and some other chronic diseases. So, if you want to enjoy Indomie, maybe you bought it outside. They didn't add more salad. Or you can buy more salad with it, more vegetable salad with it. And then also, don't let them add too much salt. What I realized is they add too much salt to it. So you can even choose just a little salt. And then buy additional vegetables, to make it healthier. But then it shouldn't be night all the time. If it is not something regular, then that's not an issue. But if eating at night, irrespective of the type of food, it's not advisable. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so you spoke about thyroid issues. I had thyroid to me in 2017, and I've been on levothyroxine for all these years. It becomes tiring taking levothyroxine every day. So for the past 6 months, I've stopped taking it. Are there any adverse effects I'm going to get? I'm having headaches now. I don't know if it is as a result of me not taking the levothyroxine.
Okay, thank you. In fact, you have to check your thyroid hormone profile so that you look at the levels. We look at the levels. It may be too low. It may have gotten too high. So before you stop taking it, the levels have to be checked. Well, when it goes too low, there are issues, like I've said. When it goes too high, there are issues, like I've said. And we can regulate the medication intake when we have checked the levels. So I will advise that. I will advise that before you taper it or you stop at all. I will advise that.
Okay.
Right.
No, Pastor Prophet, hold on. Let the ladies speak. Ladies first.
I have a question. Talking of microwave, you can put your food in a plate, but the cover is plastic. So does it mean that covering it with plastic is a problem? So you have to cover it with another plate?
Yes, please. It's always advisable to cover it with something which is not plastic. Yeah, because some can get into it. Some of those chemicals can get into the food which we are microwaving.
Everything plastic in microwave is not good.
And another question. Is it possible to eat bread, whole wheat, without eggs, margarine, milk? They have a whole wheat bread like that.
Is it possible
to eat it every day, 2 slices every day? No eggs, no margarine, no milk. They have a bread like that, whole wheat.
As a meal, as a breakfast or lunch?
Breakfast.
If you are a fan of it, so be it. But 2 slices isn't adequate for you in particular. 2 slices, yes. You will have to add something like maybe fruit, maybe an orange.
For that one, I understand. I add fruit and all those things. But 2 slices, you don't have to take more than 2.
You can take more than 2. You can make 2. You can take more than 2. 3, 4.
No, I cannot. I always take 2.
Like in Americano, that wouldn't be adequate to provide good amount of glucose for your body, for energy production.
With cheese, small cheese.
That's fine, but I would advise with the 2 slices, you add something that is starchy or that will provide some glucose, like an orange, like a serving of orange. That's an orange, like
that
an
one
apple.
Is aside. That one I always have it aside. But talking of bread,
You
2
can,
slices is enough.
provided you add something starchy to it to make it adequate. No problem with that. But then there must be protein food with it. If you are having it as your breakfast or lunch or supper, protein food like fish, chicken, granules, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, a handful with it will make it
I always
complete.
have that one with it. But I'm talking just for bread. The bread.
You can.
Because I
Once
know you
it
have
is
to
not
get-
made with trans fat or margarine, no problem with that.
Okay.
If it is made with trans fat or margarine, then you may be ingesting too much trans fat, which may end up or lead to something else.
But the bread, there's no margarine.
That's fine.
There's no milk. There's no eggs. Whole wheat.
That's so fine. Provided it's not made with margarine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine. I want to add this for our mothers and our sisters.
No, are you advising?
No, I'm not advising. It's a question.
Is it a question?
Yes, it's a question.
Good. I don't want any advice.
No,
I want question.
No, please, if you have a lot of yeast in your system as a woman, yeast. Yeah, that makes a lot of women take antibiotics. Is there any fruit that you can take that will not let you take that antibiotics where it will stay that longer and you don't have effect on you? Which probably you can do probiotics, coconut probiotics. But what is there any fruit or food that you can take in instead of taking in more antibiotics to prevent the yeast? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there is. First of all, having a healthy meal will boost the immunity. This thing is about immunity. The yeast infections is about our immune system not capable of fighting them when we have gotten them there, or they have gotten them there, the microbes there. So eating in a healthy way, like I have done here, or I have explained here, and then also such a person, it will be advisable to be incorporating cranberries. There is a fruit called cranberry into your meal. It's expensive here. So supplemental form is also fine. Yes, please. Supplemental form is also fine. So healthy diet and then incorporating cranberries into your diet. If not cranberries, supplemental cranberry. Thank you.
Good. Then I come here, then we are done for the day. Good.
Is it good to fast when you have an ulcer? And if yes, how do you fast with an ulcer?
Is it good to fast when you have ulcer?
A stomach ulcer? And if yes, how do you go about it?
Depends on your reaction to the fasting. Some people will fast, they have ulcer, they will fast, and they will not be having any stomach aches. And upon intake of food or breaking the fast, they will not be having any pain. But if you are somebody who reacts or gets pain after fasting and then taking food, then it's better you shorten the period. It's better you shorten the period of.
The fasting is a must.
Thank you.
Last one.
Yes, please. Is it okay to go with food timetables for daily eating habits? And the final question is toasted bread. In the issue of bread you stated earlier, is toasted bread rather better?
Thank you. Thank you. If that's you do like that, you can do that. There is no harm with that. If you are comfortable with a full timetable, there is no harm with that. And then toasted bread, if it has the trans fat, toasting it will not change anything. In fact, I don't encourage toasting the bread to make it brown, to make the color brown. You can toast it, but then mildly, so that it doesn't develop that brownish color. When it develops that brownish color, it means you have made the bread have some poisonous substances. Yes. So you can toast it, but then mildly.
They add margarine to it and then they toast it in addition.
Wow. I had a client like that on the Friday. Yes. Please, for the margarine, let's limit its intake. Let's make it something not regular. Let's not make it regular. And then when we toast the bread, if that, it still will contain the trans fat. Thank you.
Cesarean operation, all this kind of operation end up with a pelvic pain. Are there remedies to help alleviate that pain? Because I don't know whether it is true. I don't know whether it is the injection they are giving, because almost any woman, cesarean or whatever, CS or even some operation, has that pelvic pain at the back. Is the injection they give